It's Tuesday, August 11th, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. The Ministry of Health requested the medical history of all 95 Ghanaian nurses who arrived in Barbados 11 days ago. That's according to Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kenneth George, who revealed that the information received by the ministry at that time was okay. He made the comments yesterday, moments after announcing that one of the nurses had tested positive for malaria.
We got good information on their medical history, and what was given was at the time okay to the Ministry of Health. The other thing I will say is that we, with respect to the nursing fraternity and the doctors fraternity, we don't put any exclusion. So for example, I don't say that if you had malaria you can't be a nurse. I can't say that if you had COVID, you can't enter the workforce at another point in time. I can't say that based on, even if we know a person's HIV status, that we can say and make a determination. So we got to be careful how we approach this. We can't put new roadblocks, which we don't do for our population. And I think we should stick to that at this point in time.
Dr. George said, based on the advice of Dr. Corey Ford, head of infectious diseases at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, the remaining 94 Ghanaian nurses would now be tested for malaria.
We are fortunate to have a good team, and that advice has been taken. So we are proceeding along this, that all persons will be tested for malaria.
There's a call for a nursing school to be established in Barbados. It's coming from Minister of Health and Wellness, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic, who said the nursing profession is too important for the program at the Barbados Community College to be held under another division. He made the comments at yesterday's launch of the Nursing Auxiliary Program.
As we launch this nursing program, I strongly believe, and I said so to the principal of community college, that nursing is too important and too huge an undertaking for it to be just under some other department in this institution. I would love to see the day when there's a Barbados Community College Nursing School.
Thank you. Thank you.
And yes, good. That would please me very much. And we can then really do some good work here in this country, and we'll be able also to facilitate some of our other sister territories that may not have the capacity to train. So this is the direction I hope that we will go in.
Some businesses are still not adhering to COVID-19 protocols. The disclosure from head of the COVID-19 monitoring unit, Ronald Chapman, who also made it clear that the unit was not bent on shutting down businesses unless they flout the rules aimed at preventing the spread of the coronavirus.
Over the weekend, specifically on, I think it was on the Saturday, we were going to go out and do some checks, but we had some heavy rainfall, which kind of put a damper on some of the checks. But during the week, every day during the week, we would have done a number of checks, because it's not only bars and restaurants and so on. We would have checked the barber shops and the beauty salons. We would have checked the gas stations and so on. And we would have had some minor infractions in some of those areas. And for the most part, a lot of those persons were warned concerning the infractions to the protocols. What we tend to do is that we tend to warn people first. We've had a number of we had one or two places of worship where we would have had violations of the protocols. Persons in close proximity not wearing masks in confined areas. So we would have had conversation with them concerning those issues. So our process at this time is basically we go out, we do our inspections. If we see anything that is in violation, we usually give persons warning. We will do some education and try to bring them up to standard. Once we find that that process has fallen short of its intended mark, then we take action.
17 of the more than 150 young people involved in government's Building Blocks project are one step closer to opening the doors of their own businesses. The cohort yesterday kicked off a 4-week entrepreneurial development training program for the project. Minister of Youth, Sport and Community Empowerment, Dwight Sutherland, said he was excited the first phase of the project was winding down and the entrepreneurs would soon receive the keys.
I'm therefore pleased to announce that the pilot phase of the project is in its final stages. The kiosks at Silver Hill and Parkinson are completed, and the keys are to be handed over to the ministry in a few days, right, Mr. Reid? While the kiosks at Bonnets and the Ivy should be completed by the end of this week. In very short order, therefore, we'll be entering into agreements with the blockpreneurs at those locations, and thereafter 16 new enterprises will be opened to provide goods and services to Barbadians. It is at this stage that I want to say to you not to stop here. I want to see, and I think I heard Mr. Hunt mention it, and I often mention it again as Minister of Small Business. I want to see these young small businesses grow into big businesses. I want to create some millionaires from in this room.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley on Monday night declared that his ruling People's National Movement had won the Trinidad and Tobago general election, even before the Elections and Boundaries Commission announced any preliminary results of the poll. Rowley said the PNM captured 22 of the 41 seats in Parliament.
Our party officers and my wife Sharon, and to acknowledge you people in the audience for being such a disciplined bunch of people. Ordinarily, we would have been gathered here in our thousands, because tonight the People's National Movement has won the general elections in Trinidad and Tobago. And when we win a general election, we always say, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and we shall prevail.
And finally, Lebanon's government resigned amid mounting anger over last Tuesday's deadly explosion that devastated parts of Beirut. More in this report from Reuters TV.
Lebanon's Prime Minister announced his government's resignation on Monday, saying a huge explosion that devastated the capital and stirred public outrage was a result of endemic corruption. The August 4th detonation at a port warehouse of more than 2,000 tons of ammonium nitrate killed at least 163 people, injured more than 6,000, and destroyed swathes of the Mediterranean capital, compounding months of political and economic meltdown. In a televised address, Prime Minister Hassan Diab said he backed calls by ordinary Lebanese for those responsible for, quote, this crime to be put on trial. Diab made the announcement after the cabinet, formed in January with the backing of the powerful Iranian-backed Hezbollah group and its allies, met on Monday. Many ministers wanted to resign, according to ministerial and political sources. Diab said on Saturday he would request early parliamentary elections. Demonstrations broke out again in central Beirut, with some protesters hurling rocks at security forces guarding an entrance leading to the parliament building, who responded with tear gas. For many ordinary Lebanese, the explosion was the last straw in a protracted crisis over the collapse of the economy, corruption, waste and dysfunctional governance.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.